What's up, guys? This is Kaz, Elevateyourcraft, and welcome to episode number 23 of the vlog. It's been a little while since I've recorded a vlog, really any video, I guess, since my last muscle up progression video, but happy to be back. Lots going on, a lot of change, a lot of things that are eating up my time this summer, but again, very happy to be back and chatting with you guys, creating new content. Today's vlog, I wanted to focus on the one muscle up per minute for 100 consecutive minutes project that I've been working on for the past probably 4 to 5 months. And I finally achieved it. So it's Sunday today. On Friday evening, I finally just said, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. The summer's coming to an end. The weather's gonna get cooler. I really want to achieve this before the summer ends, and then because I'll be going less and less to where I work out right now, which is outdoors. So I wanted to really get that done. That way I can feel great about the past 4 to 6 months, I guess it would be. Maybe not even that much, probably 4 to 5 months of work that I've put in. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. This is a project that I thought would be really good because at that point in time with my muscle up, and I mean, I kind of still am at that point, I could probably do 5 to 6 consecutive muscle ups right now in one go. But at that point, I was closer to 1 to 2. And with advanced level techniques like the muscle up, it's a really good idea to do a lower rep range and allow for sufficient rest. So when I started this, I thought, okay, that's the structure I want to use with my workout program right now as far as muscle ups are concerned. So let's do it. And I love muscle ups. So naturally, during the training sessions, I'd want to do as many as I possibly could. And that's how it all started. I thought, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to do one rep at a time, and I'm going to allow for as much rest as I need at this moment, and then just kind of continue to do them, as much as I possibly can. And then from that, I thought, hey, why don't I go for 100 eventually? Not something that I was expecting to do in the near future, but I thought, why not do a cool little program like this where I just slowly progress and build up to a certain rep range? And that's how this all started. So just more of a big picture view, my rep progression ended up being 10, 16, 25, and then another 25, 36, 50, 67, 87, and then finally 100. And that's kind of where I am right now. And Abby wants to come say hello. So that's sort of how it panned out for me. And it didn't mean that I stopped doing muscle ups in between. In fact, I kept doing them. I just kept the reps really never more than 10. And that wasn't consecutive. That would just become throughout the whole workout. I wouldn't really do more than 10. But that's how the progression ended up panning out. And throughout that, for most of it, I never really knew how much I was going to do. I would just kind of say, all right, I'm going to do as many as I can, and great. And whatever I achieve, I achieve. And then once I hit that 10 rep mark, that's when I was like, you know what, I am going to structure this a little more. So that's when I introduced the timer. So I had this app on my phone that I just set up for every minute. An alarm would sound, and then I would know. And I had that whole minute to do the one rep. But of course, I would try to do the one rep as early as possible because, that next minute's coming. So I wanted to allow for as much rest in between those repetitions. So I added the timer, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go from here and structure it a little bit more. That way I could just refine my progression a bit. And again, I never really set out to achieve a certain rep range at the beginning. I kind of started more around when I reached the 25 mark, because once you hit a progression, it's tough to do less than what you did last time, which I think is natural for anyone, no matter what you're doing. You know, you want to at least achieve what you achieved before or surpass it. And I did that for the most part, I would say. There were days where I just wasn't feeling that great, or, I'd say, okay, I'm going to go for 25, but I could maybe do 10 or 12. And those can be somewhat discouraging, I have to admit. But really, I've been doing this a long time now, and I realize that sometimes you're just off your game, or you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve. But I'm still out there. I'm still doing something. I'm still exercising. I'm still pushing myself. So that's okay. I just thought, you know what? Tomorrow's another day, and I will achieve what I wanted to achieve. But if I did have a rep goal, so say for instance, I wanted to achieve 25, and then I was confident that I was going to do it. Say I was at 22, 23, said, okay, you know what, I'm feeling great, and I know I'm going to achieve the 25. I would add a couple reps after that. They wouldn't necessarily count to my total, but those were more for incidentals. So, sometimes at that point, I wasn't recording my reps on paper. So I was just remembering. And as I found, once the rep ranges got higher, that can get a bit tricky because you're tired. You forget. So I thought, all right, I'm going to add two more to that 25 just to cover those incidentals, just in case that I was maybe one less, one behind. I want to cover myself because I really wanted to make sure that I would achieve that rep range that I wanted to do. So that was something, a little trick that I tried to do, or that I implemented, I should say, not only to make things a little more challenging, but to also ensure that I was actually hitting the rep ranges that I wanted to. So I wanted to talk about a couple of the factors that I found really helped my progression. And the first one is when I introduced writing down the individual reps and crossing them out as I achieved them. And it may seem like a very subtle, not insignificant, but just something so small as to not have that big of an effect. But it was pretty big for me, I gotta say, because there's just something about making those repetitions feel more tangible that helped so much in my progression. Because I'd write them down, and it felt really good to just go back to the list and then cross off that one repetition. You're like, okay, on to the next one. And then you do it, and then you cross off that repetition. Now, it can backfire slightly as well because, like, oh my God, I have so many more repetitions to do. So what I found is I wouldn't actually write down the numbers, 1 to 100. I would do the first 10. Then at the eighth or ninth rep, I would do the next 10. I would write them down. And so on up until I would obviously hit the rep range that I wanted to. And that would help me to only focus on either that one next rep, or say the next 5 or even 10. And it helps you chunk things into more manageable steps. And you're sort of playing mind games with yourself, in all honesty. But that was one of the factors that really helped. And you'd have it recorded, and then once you achieved it, it felt even better because it's right there on the paper. You did the reps, and it also had the added benefit of helping me keep track. So it just made the logistics, the bookkeeping, if you will, a little bit easier for me. That way I didn't have to worry about repetitions, because you just want to worry about executing each one and maintaining focus, and a few things that I'll get into in just a little bit here. But the second factor is sort of multifaceted, but it's adapting to the situation. And I touched on it a little bit when I was talking about how sometimes you just don't feel as good maybe as you did at another workout, or the scenario is a bit different, the weather's not great, or anything. You're sort of just adapting to the situation. And one thing that I found was very valuable as time went on was the warm up. So if, I was feeling a little slower or very stiff just from sitting all day or something, I would implement more of a warm up. And that would really help get things going, get the blood flowing, get my mindset into it. So that became more and more important as the repetitions got higher. And sometimes I found for me that point between 25 reps and 30 was sort of the point where it would make or break my session because I often felt pretty tired at that point. In my head, I'm like, oh, you know what? I kind of want to stop here, but at that point, one thing that I would do is sort of find a way to pace myself. And that was just, it really comes down to the principles of progression. So either regress or progress. But in this case, I would regress. I would employ a little bit more momentum in my initial swing on the muscle up to get myself over the bar, to get those repetitions in. And then once I crested that 30 point usually, then it was just firing on all cylinders. I found that I was really able to hit that point, to keep going and power through. So pacing myself was another way that I would adapt to the situation. And that correlates closely with fighting through. And that's another thing that sometimes I would have to employ is just pushing myself to really fight through those repetitions to say, okay, take it one rep at a time. Go to the paper, cross off that one rep, push myself. And another one was actually stretching and breathing and focusing between the reps because you have that time. So I would do it and then I would stop and then I would often just stretch my neck, my shoulders, and just take some deep breaths. Adapt to the situation. Affirmations. Say to yourself, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. One rep at a time. Or whatever you need to say to yourself in order to keep yourself going. And that becomes even more important as the repetitions get pretty high because the situation can become pretty daunting and tougher to adapt to. So those small things all add up to really help you through the situation. And those were some of the ways that I adapted as my progression, as my training went on. So try and find some of your own methods that help you adapt to the situation and push yourself through. And then once you complete it, wherever you do find yourself in the spectrum of progression, allow for a good amount of rest. I would allow for at least a minimum of 2 weeks before these sessions because it takes an absolute ton out of you. The muscle up, it incorporates the entire upper body. It's a tough exercise and it will gas you as you do this. And I mean, when I just did the 100 repetition one the other day, I was absolutely wrecked. I was in bed by 9:30 that night. I ate a nice meal, did a good stretch afterwards, a nice cool down. But for, what would it have been that night? I was, like I said, I was in bed very early, woke up the next day. I was still pretty, just felt sore and, made sure that I got a good amount of rest. Now that I believe I mentioned that previously, but it wouldn't mean that I didn't do muscle ups in my training sessions beyond that, but it just meant that I kept the repetitions, the amount I did pretty low, and then I did whatever other workouts I was going to do. All right, hold on. All right, Abby, let's go. You've had enough screen time. So I would do muscle ups, partly just because I absolutely love doing them. So even if I'm doing squats or rope or a combination thereof, I'll always kind of just run to the bar, jump and do a muscle up and enjoy it. I love doing them. So that it didn't mean I would just not do them at all up until the next sort of 1 minute per muscle up training session. But be sure to rest because it's a very comprehensive, tough workout to do. So allow for enough rest. So I did a minimum of 2 weeks, but the last, I'd say probably 3 sessions that I did, the 67, the 87, And the 100, I actually had probably about 3 to 4 weeks between those, just because I was doing other things that made me tired and sore, and I didn't want to push myself too much or injure myself. So I had a lot more time between those. Um, so there's no set time frame. Just do really what's best for you. But I love structures like this. They really help me progress. It's an advanced exercise, so low rep, a lot of rest between sets. It's just such a great way to train the muscle up. And now what I want to do is do two muscle ups in every 90 seconds. So progressing just a bit, instead of technically one per 1 minute, or, I guess it would be two per 2 minutes, obviously. Now I want to progress it a bit and do two muscle ups every 90 seconds. So I think that's well within my capabilities. It's obviously making it a bit more difficult, so I'm progressing. But that'll probably be my next step. Again, two muscle ups every 90 seconds, and then I'll work my timer around that. I'm going to continue to record each of the repetitions and cross them off. I implore you to do something like that. It's just such a good way to establish the mindset and drive to actually physically see you cross off those repetitions. So that's a bit about that achievement, that structure that I have chosen to employ for muscle up training. And I'll still continue to adapt and change things up, but that may work for you. If you're just getting into muscle ups and you want to take it easy and find a way to slowly progress, then this something like this is a really good way to do it. I think that's all I got for now. So hopefully that is useful and helpful in some way. I'm feeling really good about hitting that 100. It felt like a long ways away back when I started, but just embrace the process, because that's where the fun is. I didn't expect to go from 1 to 100 in a quick amount of time, but I just loved every repetition. And that's the key in really anything like this, is embrace the process, have fun with it, be honest with yourself. Say, you know what, just today is not a good day and I can't quite do it. Or I'm gonna kick butt today, I'm gonna do really well, I'm gonna push myself and I'm gonna achieve this. And then just go from there. So be honest with yourself, have fun really in the end, and give yourself a good amount of rest. All right, so that's it for the Elevate Your Craft vlog episode number 23. I'll probably be pumping out a handful more in the coming days and weeks. Be sure to also check out the muscle up progression video that I've released. I will post that on the Facebook page, Elevate Your Craft, on the website, things like that. But if you want to progress toward the muscle up, then that's an awesome video to watch, because I demonstrate the path that I took in order to achieve it. So right now, just sort of an update on where I'm at. I'm at a cool 173 pounds. I'm 5'11". Geez, and it's a little over 2 years now that I've been living sort of a ketogenic lifestyle, a fat adapted athlete, and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. For when I started, I was at 195 pounds. I think a little more than that, probably 197. And now I'm 173. I'm stronger than ever, very lean. I do want to actually get something like a bod pod session, or just to look at my lean muscle mass, body fat percentage, that kind of thing. But I don't worry about that kind of stuff a lot anymore. This lifestyle has changed a lot of that. I feel strong, I feel healthy, I just feel fantastic. I'm stronger than ever, and achieving things that I never did before. So I'm very happy. Don't worry too much about the numbers. But anyway, I digress. That's it for me, guys. Happy to talk to you again. I really hope this is useful. Feel free to reach out. Facebook is my biggest platform, Elevate Your Craft, all one word. I'm on YouTube, Elevate Your Craft, all one word. Tumblr, the same handle. Twitter, EYC, KAS. Instagram, which I'm trying to use more and more now. Also EYCKAS. So feel free to reach out on any one of those platforms. I love answering questions and just passing on any insight that I can. But until next time, I will catch you later from me and, of course, Abby, who you saw a little bit earlier. Take it easy, guys.